You are 6 years old the first time someone calls you weak. It happens at recess. You're holding a worm you found by the slide, proudly showing it to a girl from your class. Then a boy, older, louder, always surrounded by noise, smacks it out of your hand. The worm splits in half. The girl shrieks. The boy laughs. And you just stand there, still holding nothing. That boy's name is Marcus. And for the next 6 years, he never really goes away. You grow up in a small town where people say things like boys will be boys and toughen up when someone cries. So you stop crying. But Marcus never stops pushing. He finds you in hallways, shoves your shoulder just hard enough to make your books fall, mocks your voice, your posture, your every hesitation. He figures out what makes you flinch and presses into it like a bruise. You tried telling a teacher once. She smiles gently and says, "Ignore him. Bullies are just insecure deep down." But that doesn't stop the spitball that hits you in the eye during math, or the Sharpie sketch of your face with a pig's nose that circles the lunchroom, or the bruised silence that forms between you and yourself. You learn to move quietly, to find exits before entrances, to tense when you hear laughter, even if it's not about you. You make it through school like a ghost, half present, half frozen, mostly exhausted. You become a master at avoidance, walking through doors sideways, eyes on the floor. You smile less, speak less, feel less. By the time graduation comes, you haven't spoken to Marcus in months, but his voice still lives in your bones. You carry him like an unwanted echo. Even when he's not there, he's still there, in your posture, in your doubt, in the silence after someone calls your name, and you hesitate to answer. Then life happens. College, a job in a city with no memory of you. You find new things to worry about: rent, insurance, grocery lists, team meetings, social mixers, performance reviews. You forget Marcus, or you think you do. Until one night, you're scrolling through Facebook at 2 a.m., avoiding sleep like it's a dare, and you see him. Same name, older face, married, 2 kids, owns a landscaping company back in your hometown. His smile looks easy, like nothing ever went wrong. Your stomach knots without your permission. You stare at his photo like it might apologize on his behalf. But it doesn't. You think about messaging him, then laugh at yourself. What would you even say? "Hey, remember when you made my life hell?" You close the laptop, but you don't fall asleep. Instead, your mind replays every hallway, every laugh, every small moment you wanted to disappear. Years pass. You become someone people describe as calm. You get promoted, you get married, you get pretty good at pretending that childhood is just gone. But sometimes a joke at work hits you wrong, or a man yells too loudly in public, and your shoulders tense before your mind can catch up. You're back in 7th grade just like that. Muscle memory is a cruel historian. Trauma ages like wine. It gets quieter but not weaker. It just finds deeper places to hide. Then your dad gets sick. Lung cancer. Fast and brutal. You go home to care for him. The town hasn't changed much, just more vape shops and fewer bookstores. Fewer bookstores, fewer places to disappear into fiction. More reminders that reality has sharp edges. You're older now, but everything feels smaller. Even your house, the creaks in the floorboards, the smell of the garage, the scuffed corners of childhood bedrooms. One afternoon, after a long appointment, you pull into the local gas station and see a man standing by the coffee machine, broad shoulders, buzz cut, a little heavier. It takes 3 seconds to recognize him. Marcus. Your heart stutters. He turns. You half expect him to sneer, to throw a jab, to smirk like he's 16 again, but he just says, "Hey, wait, is that... are you..." You nod. "Yeah, it's me." His face flickers, like a TV stuck between channels. He chuckles nervously. Wow, man, it's been forever. You nod again. Say something polite. You don't know why. He asks if you're back in town. You tell him about your dad. He lowers his gaze. I'm sorry to hear that. Really? There's a pause, a long, uncomfortable inhale. Then he says it. I was a real jerk back then, huh? You shrug. Because what else do you do with a decade of bruises? He laughs again, this time quieter. I've actually thought about that. A lot. You don't know what to say. He asks if you want to grab a beer sometime. You say you're not sure. He gives you his number anyway. Then he walks out, and you just stand there, holding a gas station coffee and 25 years of unspoken history. You think about texting him. You don't, then you do. You delete the draft, then write another. You meet up. A dive bar, one pool table, 2 dusty ceiling fans. You sit across from each other like veterans of 2 different wars. He talks about his kids. You talk about your work. Neither of you mentions middle school until he does. I was angry all the time, he says. Home was rough, but that doesn't excuse it. You nod. He stares at his drink. I used to feel powerful making other people small. I think I needed that back then. You don't say anything, then, quietly, you do. You made me hate myself for years. He nods. Slowly. I know. There's a silence between you that isn't awkward, just full. He says, I'm sorry. Truly. I wish I could take it back. And here's the thing. You believe him. You didn't expect to, but you do. Not because he says it perfectly, not because he cries, but because there's no performance in his voice, just regret. Real, raw, human regret. And for the first time in your life, you look at Marcus and don't see the boy who broke you. You see the man trying to fix something he can't. You sit with that. Then you say, I forgive you. It doesn't feel like a thunderclap. It feels like a sigh you've been holding since you were 12. He blinks. You can see him swallow it. Not just your words, but the weight of them. Thank you, he says. And for the first time ever, it feels earned. You start meeting more often, nothing dramatic, just lunch, coffee, life. Sometimes he talks about his dad. Sometimes you talk about yours. Sometimes you both sit quietly, sipping from mugs like it's church. He tells you he started therapy a year ago, that it scared the hell out of him, that he's still figuring himself out, that sometimes he still hears the old version of himself in his own head. You tell him you journal every night, that it helps, that some nights you still dream you're back in that cafeteria, frozen with a tray in your hand. The friendship grows slow, uneven, like a plant recovering from frost. But it grows. You catch yourself laughing with him one afternoon, and it doesn't feel like betrayal. It feels like release. At your father's funeral, Marcus shows up, in a suit, alone. He doesn't say much, just hugs you like someone who means it. You hug back. Later that night, after the guests leave and the house is still, you cry harder than you have in years, not just for your dad, but for the boy you used to be, for the voice that finally got to be heard, for the way something shattered inside you finally clicked back into place, and for the strange, impossible grace of healing where you never thought it could grow. Years go by. You and Marcus stay friends, not best friends, not always in touch friends, but real ones. He invites you to his daughter's piano recital. You bring her flowers. She hugs you. He sends you a photo one day, a book about childhood trauma, says, just finish this. You ever read it? You laugh and recommend 5 more. Sometimes people don't believe the story when you tell it, that you forgave your bully, that he changed, that you did too. But healing doesn't need an audience. It just needs space and time. And 2 people brave enough to show up again. not as who they were, but as who they're trying to become. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing not to live in the wound. It means setting yourself free, even if the other person never asks for it. But sometimes they do. And when they mean it, really mean it, forgiveness becomes more than a gift. It becomes a resurrection for both of you.